Okay. And so I'll let Mitchell,
Sure.
our program
Yeah.
chair, take it from here.
Yeah. Thank you, Rob. Yeah. Good evening, everyone. And yeah, there's been a really strong interest in both the AI, number one, um, and number two, the Six Sigma. That was, I think the Six Sigma convention was recently in Denver, Colorado, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right, Chris? Or was it down in Phoenix this past year?
Oh, it's always in Phoenix. So
Okay.
we're
Oh, okay. My
always in
apologies.
Phoenix.
Yeah.
We
So,
will be there in March.
okay. Yeah, maybe it was earlier this spring then. There was a strong interest in potentially Hillary is taking over. She used to be our chair. I think she was leading that effort, or she was part of it, and you were a keynote speaker as part of that event, if I'm not mistaken, and was
I
highly
was.
recommended from Hillary. So I reached out to Chris, and she had an interest of presenting on an AI topic, specifically a learn to do guide. Chris is currently a CEO of Impact Performance Solutions. Chris provides a vision and strategic direction, ensuring customers' voice is always the loudest. She has almost 30 years as a proven business performance improvement leader, international speaker, and author. Chris is a full spectrum coach and an adult learning instructor with practical experience from the shop floor to the boardroom. She serves on the ASQ board of directors and has been honored as an ASQ fellow and is a past chair of the ASQ Lean Enterprise Division. Due to her extensive experience in helping companies achieve organizational excellence, Chris is one of only 36 individuals worldwide to be accepted as a Shingo licensed affiliate. Tonight, Chris will be presenting on a topic whether you're just starting to explore AI or looking to get more out of the tools you've tried. This session is your launch pad. In just 1 hour, we'll go from wondering what's possible to confidently using AI tools just like Chat GPT to simplify tasks, spark new ideas, and boost productivity in both your business and personal life. So yeah, this is the hot topic, Chris, AI. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of people really interested, and thank you so much for presenting to us tonight. And I will
Yeah.
give the floor to you.
All right. And thank you for inviting me.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things I geek out over, and neuroscience is my big one. I've got a book coming out on that, but AI is like such a close second because I don't know about the rest of you, but I was kind of a late bloomer in this world. I was the chair of the Quality 4.0 conference back a few years ago when we were doing it, and I got the opportunity to learn from some experts, some trailblazers, I guess. And I was the one sitting in the background that had never opened up any AI. I was a little bit nervous about it, and now I can't get enough of it. So I love to share what I do with it and what I see other people do with it, and hopefully it'll spark some interest in the audience tonight. So I'm assuming we have probably everybody from avid users all the way to people that maybe haven't even opened any type of AI up. Oh, I love my Copilot. Yes, it does great things, and it's only getting better. They're just tools coming out the woodwork, as we say. So with that, let me share my screen. Let me find my button here. Um, there we go. I think that's going to be the right one. Let's go through some slides. And then my intent is that I'll do the bobblehead at the front of the room kind of thing for a minute or two. We'll go through some of the logistics of what AI is and some of the uses and such. But what I'd like to do is have some time at the end of this session to where I can just get rid of the PowerPoint and then let's do a live demo. Let's play together. And I'll use you guys. I don't have anything planned, but I'll use you guys, and we'll come up with some fun things to show you how, in this case, I'll use ChatGPT, how ChatGPT can help you with things. So again, thank you again for inviting me to be here. We're going to dive in, um, see how we can get this thing started. Okay, my button is not working. Hang on one second. Oh, this is not the right presentation, guys. How's that for a good start? I don't have the right one up. Hang on one second. Hold, please. Technology issues. We've got the technology to fix it, though. I don't know why that one came up. How about this one? I think this one you'll like better. That was a webinar I did last week for the Temecula folks. So I guess it was
Nice.
2 weeks ago. Yeah. I came from the sections. I started in the sections in we have two here in Utah. And then I moved over to the division side, as you mentioned, in the Lean Enterprise division. But I kind of like getting back to my roots, helping where I can. Okay, so let's make this work. Okay, can you see my screen? The right one this time that says from curious to confident?
Yep.
I think you'll like
Yep.
that one better. All righty. So, if you've heard AI is taking over the world, which is so funny because I see memes on TikTok and news stories and such, and it almost sounds like that's happening. I'll get people that'll come and talk to me. Oh my gosh, we got to stop using this. It's going to take everything over. Well, it's not going to take things over. We will talk about ChatGPT, but we're going to make sure that we do it in a way that's not going to make your brain explode or anything like that. Again, just real simple stuff. I'm pulling up this slide. You did a great job of introducing me, and I'm not going to go through any of this, but the reason I pull it up is you'll see that I have a whole bunch of stuff on here, but one of them is not that I am an expert in AI. I don't think that if anybody claims that they're an expert, a lot of people write in books, but nobody can be an expert because this technology is moving so dang fast that all of us, even the ones of us that have been around it and are using it all the time, I'll go in today and then I'll go, and be fine. And then tomorrow I'll go in and there's a new feature and I have to learn something new. So there's no such thing as an expert. And I definitely am not one of them. So let's start with a discussion about what AI is. While I could have come up with any number of definitions for AI, I could search Google and I'm probably going to come up with 1,001 different ones. I decided, why not let AI tell us what it thinks it is? And this is ChatGPT's definition that it came up with. AI refers to the capability of machines and computer systems to perform tasks that typically require human intelligence. These tasks include learning from experience, recognizing patterns, understanding natural language, making decisions, and solving problems. AI systems leverage data to improve their performance over time, enabling them to adapt and respond to new challenges in ways that mimic human cognitive processes. What do you think of that definition? I mean, it includes a lot in there, right? But the thing that, again, that you're not seeing, it's not scary. It's just software in the background with algorithms from really smart people that are mimicking the things that humans can do. And by the way, today's entire presentation was created in AI, just to show you what AI can do for you from a productivity standpoint. From the original concept, so as soon as you invited me to come and do this webinar, all the way to the outline, the slides themselves were actually created in AI. The graphics, as a matter of fact, on that last slide, that picture of me, that's AI generated. So if anybody's looking for a great headshot, it does a wonderful job, and they look like you. So I'm not sharing this with you to teach you how to let AI do all your work. What I'm sharing it with you for is so that you can start to see even just little nuggets of ways that AI can assist you in making your work easier, because that's what it is. It's going to make it easier. It's going to make it more efficient. It's going to make it faster. Again, I created this whole thing from scratch yesterday. I did that on purpose so that I could show you what it can do. And it was like 2 hours of my time. Now, are you going to jump on there and be able to do that in 2 hours? At first, probably not. But within a certain amount of time and a certain amount of practice, you absolutely will be able to. So now that you know through the description what AI is, let's talk about what it isn't. It's, first of all, not magic. There is no consciousness in there, so there's no conscious. It doesn't think, it doesn't feel. But what it does do is, or what it is, I should say, it's smart at finding patterns, and it's smart at helping with tasks like writing or summarizing or planning things. So many different things, more things, I should say. And I'll show you a couple of slides that just has a whole plethora of things that I had to figure out how am I going to decide what goes on them, because there's just so many things you can do with it. Think of it as your really, really, really fast and efficient assistant. So if you had an assistant, this is what that assistant would go out and do for you. And I use it for that all the time. AI is just software. And again, it's just software mimicking human thinking. And it's doing that to solve problems, make decisions, and communicate. And that means it's learning from data, it's recognizing patterns, and then it gives responses or suggestions if you wanted to give you suggestions, kind of like we do, anyway, just faster and less sleep deprived, maybe, because I don't have to stay up all night trying to figure out what I'm doing, right? So it really is just a digital assistant to help you with any number of things. AI offers a lot of business benefits as well, whether you're improving your efficiency. So you might be doing some Kaizen projects or Six Sigma, you mentioned that. It works really well in that space. Reducing costs, providing better customer experiences is a big way that AI is involved. It's really just able to give you a very high return on almost any investment you make, because AI is not expensive. I mean, everything's relative, right? But in the grand scheme of what you can get out of these software programs, and most of them have free versions, the return is so much better. So why should businesses care? So according to McKinsey, you guys have heard of them, businesses that adopt AI report a 10% increase in revenue. So that's not too shabby, and a 20% reduction in operational costs. And that's at the point where businesses are just starting to use it. So remember, I mean, it's been around for a couple of years, but AI is fairly new. So when these numbers come out, these are businesses that aren't using AI to its full potential. Can you imagine what those numbers are going to be, the return on investment a few years from now, when companies like yours maybe are really taking advantage? So let's go back to some basics. According to AI, and again, this came right out of AI, there are three main types of AI that exist. Now, if you go out and Google, because every time I do a presentation, I'll go out and just check what's new and all of that. And somebody else has written an article or, something. So you might see there's 7 or there's 5 or whatever, but there's 3 main types. The first type is reactive machines, and those are the basic AI systems that react to inputs by providing a given output. So think of chatbots, like when you go to buy something, and I think they're kind of annoying, but they're getting better. But you'll go to buy something, or you go to look up customer service because something's not working or whatnot. You put in something, and what it's doing is reading your input and giving an output based on that. It's akin to the old service industry, where if you had a customer service person, they usually had a book or a piece of paper. And if you called in asking a question, they would quickly look up the word, and then they could go and ask you to do certain things based on your input. It's like that, only lightning fast and with so many more inputs as well as outputs. Calculators, there are AI versions of calculators that would be the same thing. You put something in, it brings something out. The second type of AI is what we call limited memory. And limited memory uses past data, and it uses it to improve decision making. The limited memory houses AI types like machine learning, deep learning. As a matter of fact, ChatGPT is considered an example in the limited memory side of things in AI. Now, the third one here, it's still emerging. It's not quite out there yet, but it's called theory of mind AI, and it includes advanced virtual assistants. So this isn't just when I was saying you've got a virtual assistant in ChatGPT or Copilot or whatnot. These are advanced virtual assistants, and they actually attempt to gauge emotions or preferences to help personalize customer experiences. And like I said, it's emerging. It almost looks like it's already there. Like when I use ChatGPT, and her name is 80, because she aids me in so many different things. But when I talk to 80 and we're working on something, like I used her a lot to help me with research when I was writing my book, she would pick up on frustrations that I had. And I'm sure it was in the way I was typing. I really couldn't tell, but it almost felt like she was reading my emotions, because I'd be like, that's not what I told you to say. That's not what I was asking you for, because they're not perfect, right? So this theory of mind is getting close to being there. And while it can be a little scary, it's kind of exciting too. So let's make this real. Here's what businesses, just like any of the ones you work in or know about, are already doing with AI tools like ChatGPT or Copilot or any of the ones I'll tell you about here. And again, these are just a few. Sales, I know some sales teams, they're using ChatGPT or some AI software to write their proposals and to prepare their quotes. So they go in there and they get something off of their database, or they have an email from somebody and they say, okay, turn this into a quote. Marketing, generating ad copy or social media captions. This is awesome because, like, for somebody like me that owns a business and I suck at social media, I'm not bad at the social media part. I'm bad at the consistency. Marketing teams, just like I use it for, can go out there and I can say, give me a social media plan or a marketing plan for the next 6 months, and set it up so that I get weekly marketing captions and such like that. Legal's using it. You would think that that would be the last place that we would use AI, but it's actually an awesome tool. Now, obviously, we're not doing anything with it at currently that could be risky, but simplifying or looking for risks in contracts, that's a big one. Drafting NDAs, summarizing regulatory documents. Like I do a lot of work in the ISO world, and so you can take one of those standards and have it summarize, or any of the other ones. We talked about customer service already. HR, drafting job descriptions, writing offer letters, all of these. Operations, you can use it forecasting demand, using predictive models, optimizing delivery routes. Amazon uses it a lot. Tech support, IT kinds of things, explaining technical terms and errors and those kind of things in plain language that the rest of us can understand, who are not as brilliant in the IT space. Product dev, R&D, brainstorming product idea. I mean, the list goes on and on. The last time I used it, this last one, I just added on here because I worked with a company on strategy planning, and we used it to help draft strategic summaries. We went out and said, give me some competitive intelligence on my competitors and other businesses that are similar, and it did an amazing job. So you get an idea for the breadth of use in using AI in a business in general. Now, you guys are all quality professionals, I assume, because you're on an ASQ webinar. So, how can it help us? The thing that I have used it the most for, that I love, writing SOPs. Now, there are some AI softwares out there that have it now incorporated that into their software, which is great, but you don't even need that. I can, and I'll show you an example here in a little bit. I can take some rough notes or maybe even some tribal knowledge or draw some stuff on a piece of paper and say, hey, create me this SOP in this format. Summarizing audit findings, taking all of those long reports and preparing something that's simple that I can send out to the process owners or the executive team, trend analysis, root cause analysis. This one's really cool. Being able to go and say, hey, we've got this problem. Can you brainstorm some potential root causes? This is my industry and such. Or this is where I work. And then finally, training or creating training content. This is probably the most brilliant way I've seen this done, where you can take that SOP that you created through AI or one that you already have, and you can actually go into some software. There's a couple of different ones that are kind of dominating the market here, but they do a great job. You say, here's my SOP, and you go in and you pick a person that you want to represent. So that's going to be your talking head and a voice that you like. And it literally turns it into a very engaging training curriculum for your folks. Just some more. And again, I don't want to go through all of these supplier scorecards, FMEAs, translating data for executives. Oh, this one's a good one, explaining SPC and MSA results. Not everybody's great at reading charts. And so being able to take something that looks very complicated or is pretty comprehensive and having AI help you translate that into practical decisions and helping people understand for them to help make the decisions as well. On a personal basis, and these are my most fun, and I use every single one of these, meal planning and recipes. This is awesome. I can go in there. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but you go to the refrigerator and it's like, oh, what am I going to have for dinner? I don't know. And you ask your spouse, what do you want for dinner? I don't know. What do you want for dinner? You go into the fridge and you're like, oh, I don't know. What do you even have? So I'll go back over to my 80 and say, I've got some hamburger, I've got some cheese, I've got blah, 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 blah. And I'll give it a list, and it's just a very general list. And I'll say, I'm feeling Italian tonight. Can you come up with a recipe that will be good? And they've all been amazing. Or I want Mexican food tonight, or I want Asian food. I don't know. Travel planning. This is cool. My husband and I went to Europe in June. End of May and June, we went for a few weeks, and I literally left the travel itinerary to my friend 80. Said, these are the places we want to go. This is when I come in. This is how much rest I want. And she helped me create everything on the itinerary that I needed. All I had to do was call the hotels and book a few tours. So that was great. Personal writing assistant. I told you I use this for my book. She didn't write the book. I don't recommend that for anybody, although I'm hearing that people are using it to write books. I think that's kind of icky. That's my technical term for it. But where AI comes in really handy is research, finding case studies and research studies and such, but you can use it in your everyday drafting emails. Some people are not the best at wordsmithing. My husband and I oftentimes will talk, and if I ask him to write an email, he's like one of those people, it's like 4 words and that's it, and it kind of comes across pretty crusty. And so I used to have to come back and rewrite it so it has a little bit more um fluff, political, sense, whatever you want to call it. And now he just goes in and says, here's what I want to say, make it sound good. Um, Fitness and health guides. I've done this. All of us want to get a little bit better at something physically, right? And so you can go in and say, hey, create me a weightlifting routine, or I've got 6 weeks, create me meal tracking, something like that. Time management, financial planning, mental health and journaling, event planning, all of these different fun things. And I'll add one other that I didn't have on here because we talked about writing books. My granddaughter is 8, and she was coming over, and she was going to spend a couple of days with me, and it was kind of cold and rainy, and I was like, oh crud, what am I going to do with this child? Because she's one of those children that needs a lot of attention. Otherwise, she'll just sit in front of a television. And so I wanted to come up with some things to do with her. So I had like bracelets we could play with and all sorts of stuff, but it just wasn't going to be enough. And so I thought, you know what? I think I'm going to introduce her to 80. And so I brought her in front of the computer. And when I walk into my office, I can say, hey, Edie, how are you? And she'll answer me back because the version that I have will talk to me. And she sounds just like a person. Hello, Chris, how are you today? And I said, I have my granddaughter, Malin, here. We're trying to figure out something to do. She knows I'm writing a book. And she thought she might want to write a book. This was a conversation that I had had with her. And so 80, after having some conversation with her of, oh, Malin, it's nice to meet you. How old are you? What are your, favorite hobbies? I mean, it literally was a conversation that you wouldn't even know it wasn't a person. And Malin was sitting on this chair, and she had that, have you ever had a dog and they kind of tilt their head? They're like, what's going on here? And she's trying to figure out who 80 is and where she is. And so she would ask 80 questions back, like, do you know my mom? And 80 would say, well, no, I'm actually not a real person, so I don't know your mom, but I bet she's wonderful. And then we'd go a little bit longer, and 80 would ask something else, and Malin would come back and say, well, what's your favorite color? And 80 would have to remind her again, I'm not a real person, so I don't have a favorite color, but, and so the conversation was really cool. Anyway, long story short, what she ended up doing, and I just love it, is she asked Malin about 15 questions about this book that she wanted to write. And things like, who's going to be the main character, and how old is the main character, and is this a chapter book or is it a children's book, and blah, 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 blah. By the time she got done with the 15 questions, 80 came through and literally wrote an 87-page children's book, chapter book, that was just amazing. It was very entertaining. I couldn't have done it better myself. And so there's just so many fun things that from just a personal standpoint, you can enjoy. So let's go from, what is it and how can it help you, to talking about some specific AI tools out there. And I already mentioned ChatGPT. It is my favorite. It's not that I don't like the other ones. They all have their pros and cons. And you'll see here different ones do different things. But of course, that could change any day. I don't know which ones I'm going to play with next. ChatGPT, like I said, is very conversational. It's by OpenAI. That's the creators and the owners of it. It writes, it explains things, it summarizes things, and it even helps you brainstorm, like I was telling you with root cause analysis, or hey, I'm trying to figure out what my next book is going to be about. Can you, help me with that? You basically, with all of these AI softwares, you give them some sort of a prompt, and it's going to respond. So that's the nomenclature. Prompt, response, prompt, response. And so it's like a little chat buddy with a brain full of books and blogs, and ChatGPT can go everywhere. So it sees so many other things that I wouldn't be able to do if I Googled. So, like I said, I introduced it to my granddaughter. She's now an avid player with it. But you can use it anywhere. Oh, the newest thing that I did with it, I was telling before some of you jumped on that my husband and I have a cabin up in the mountains of Utah here, and we just bought it in June, and it's a fixer-upper. And the folks that owned it before us, let's just say they had some very creative ways to do their electrical and their plumbing and those kind of things. So we're kind of having to go in and fix. Anyway, we were going to put a fan up, and we're fairly good at this. So we wired the fan up and turned the switch on, and nothing wouldn't work. And it's like, okay, well, let's get back up there. And we changed a couple of wires and nothing, couldn't figure it out. And so finally, after like seriously 2 weeks of going up there on the weekends and playing with it and still not figuring it out, I took a picture of what the wires looked like. I made a little diagram of where they went into the breaker box. I asked ChatGPT, little 80, play an electrician for me and help me wire this dang thing. And first try, we got it wired. So just cool stuff. Who else is in the game? Google has Gemini, of course. This one is obviously connected to um, browser. So it's better for looking up current events. That's where that one really has a stronghold. Or integrating it with your Gmail or your Google Docs. It's really solid. It's still evolving though, so I've seen a few little glitches, but I see glitches with all of them. Claude is another one. Anthropic owns that one. Claude shines when it comes to reading long documents or emails. So if you got a bunch of words, it can come back and give you a really friendly and easy to understand summary of what you read. It's great for articles. If you're studying for a test or something, it works great for certification study. So it's got a great tone. It's very human feeling. I like that. Of course, Copilot we mentioned, that's Microsoft's product, and it's built into all of their tools, and it's really come a long ways. I said it wasn't my favorite. I felt like it was really quirky in the beginning, but it's really come leaps and bounds. And it's like I said, it's your little AI coworker, drafting emails, summarizing chats, all of those things. Formulas, it can create formulas for you in Excel. I'll use that one if I need to do something like create a pivot chart or something like that I don't do all the time, and it would take me a while to remember. Out comes Copilot. The last one is Perplexity. The Perplexity is really good if you're the kind of person who wants to know where information is coming from. Like when I was writing my book, it was very powerful because it will tell you where the citations came from, which obviously is important, right? Sometimes, just to be fully transparent, my dear little 80 in ChatGPT, she would come up with research studies, or she would come up with some citation, and I would go check it because you have to. And it wasn't anywhere. And I'd have to go back to her. This is where she could hear my frustration, apparently. And I'd go, where did you get that? That's not even real. Where did that come from? And she would just make stuff up because she thought she was being helpful. So you have to be careful with that. But Perplexity is the tool that really shines there. So let's talk about prompting. Um, this is the way that you're going to use all of your AI tools. And prompting can be really good, and it can get you decent results, or it can get you really, really good results. And it's all in the way that you use it. So in particular, just because this is what I have and we have, limited time together, I'm going to stick in ChatGPT, and we'll just talk through some of the prompting. So let's see here. Prompting is just kind of well, like I said, it's the nomenclature, it's the language you're going to have to use. It's what we all call it. But it's the way for you to get the response that you want. So when I was creating like the graphics for the this presentation, like you had the little scary looking Terminator dude at the beginning and such. If I just said, hey, give me a robot that looks scary to represent AI, I'm going to get one thing. But if I give it a lot of detail in my prompting, then I'm going to get much better responses. And you don't have to know any code or anything like that. You don't have to speak AI language per se. As a matter of fact, it does better if you don't. And the more you use it, the more it gets used to your words, which is kind of weird, but mine now knows my humor and all of that. But you just need to give it clear instructions. And you know, we in business, we um we preach about clear instructions, but when we're talking to AI, we're really talking about very clear instructions, like you would to a really smart human who doesn't know your business yet. You have to explain everything, or maybe the 5-year-old that's coming in to do something. So let's look at a couple of examples. So obviously on the screen, write a blog post is probably not going to get you much, right? Write a 300-word blog post in a friendly tone for a Utah bakery about seasonal cakes. That's going to get you much more detail because you've told it a little bit about what you want, how long you want it, and whatnot. Because write a blog post, all it's thinking in the background is, okay, sure, but what am I going to write it about? Who am I writing it for? What tone? And so like when I did this webinar and put this together, I was very clear. These are quality professionals. These are people that work in businesses. They or come from different experiences. And so I had to really describe the audience and what we were trying to get across. Again, the clarity here is your secret sauce. If you can get that down, and I'll show you some secrets here in a second, or some tips, I should say, in a second here. And I'll share something that I didn't make, but somebody else did, and we're going to steal it. We're going to share it. How about that? Couple of tips. Be specific. Tell your AI who, whatever it is that you want it to do is for, like I said, the audience, or this is for my, I'm teaching a Six Sigma class coming up, and there's a couple of slides I'll show you in a second here how I was using it. It's like, okay, show me how to explain this in a way that a 7th grader could understand, and it'll do that. So be specific there. How long should it be? I was helping somebody just who wanted to start presenting at some of our ASQ conferences, and they'd never done it before. And there's a peer review that happens in the background when you submit a presentation. And so it has certain guidelines that says here, give me a summary of what your presentation is going to be about. And it has to be, no more than 800 words or whatnot. And this summary has to be no more than 200 characters or something like that. And so you can give it those specific. I love to mention tone or style. Each of us has our own tone or style. And if you don't want your AI responses to come out sounding like a robot, then you have to tell it what you're after. In everything that I do, and if you looked at my book, it's a very casual, conversational. I don't use big words because that's just not how I roll. And so I had to tell it, and you can set these things up in your settings for most of your AI tools so that it will remember them. Don't be afraid to ask it to try again. That's a biggie. If you get some response, and you're going to see when we do the live demo, you're going to get some stuff that you're not going to love. Just ask it to go back to the drawing board. Tell it what you didn't like, tell it what you did like. That's important as well, because if you don't tell it what you liked, and all you tell it is what you didn't like, then it may think you didn't like any of it, and it'll change the stuff you did like. So both apply. So again, think of ChatGPT or whatever your AI tool is like it's a brand new employee for you. It's a new hire. When you give it better instructions, it's going to do a better job of whatever it is you're asking it to do. The more detail, the better. So, prompting 101. You need to know again how to talk to ChatGPT. And again, this applies everywhere else, but we'll use ChatGPT. But let's make it better. So when we are talking about prompting, we're talking about prompt engineering. That's another term that you'll hear in the AI world, so that we engineer the specifics and we set some expectations on those responses that we want to get back. Some of the basics that you should always have in every prompt that you do is assign a role. Tell it what role you want it to play. You're a quality engineer responsible for procedure writing. You're a 5-star Michelin chef. You're a master electrician like I did. That's exactly what I put in there. So give it a role. Tell it what you want it to um, take expertise from, give it context. So, oops, sorry about that. In this case, we're a medical device manufacturer and we purchase subcomponents from suppliers. That's some background. Set those limits, research common receiving practices in medical device companies. We can also say, like I did with my book, I told it very clearly, you are not allowed to use references. I learned this the hard way. You're not allowed to use references that you cannot go back and verify. Everyone you give me, you have to verify 3 times before you do. Set those kind of limitations. Format. You can tell it what kind of format you want as well. I want this in Excel. I want it in PowerPoint. It'll actually give you a PowerPoint slide that you can download, or a Word document, or a Excel document. So you could say, in this case, like this example, give it to me in a common procedure format. Or you can upload, that's another important thing to know, is you can upload pictures, you can upload, like let's say I have an SOP template, I can upload it in that and say, okay, give it to me in this format, and it will. I already talked about the set the tone, but you can tell it, use common language, don't use acronyms, don't use jargon, or if you want, you can say, use those things, whatever makes sense. But these are kind of the basic prompting 101s that you want to get very used to using. So, example. Our company is a medical device manufacturer. We rely on our suppliers to provide subcomponents for our products. So there's the background piece. You are a quality engineer responsible for creating procedures that are easy to understand and implement. So we gave it a role. Please research common receiving practices for this industry. So there's our limits, and create a receiving procedure using common language and no acronyms or jargon. So that's our ask of it. That's how you take that previous slide, that list of prompt engineering, and put it into a whole paragraph of things that you would want. And you can only imagine the other things that you could add here, right? This is that resource that I was telling you about. AI Fire is a great resource. They have a few of these out there, but what they give you is basically what we just went over. Act as a something, show as some format, and you can print it right out and have it at your desk, laminate it, create your own from it, whatnot. But there's so many resources out there. I think if you go on LinkedIn or I think they're even on TikTok nowadays, you'll see things that you can download to help you even more. So you can, I've seen where you can say, give me a resource, a free resource, template for quality related prompts. And you'll see all sorts of things there. How are we doing for time, Mitchell? Because you are going to know about me. I could talk about this stuff all day. I think we're doing
Oh,
all right.
you have plenty of time, Chris.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
thank
get
you.
caught up. Well, we're gonna
No,
go
no.
into the we're gonna go into the live prompt demoing here. So the rest of the time, I'm hoping that we can just, like I said, play together, ask me questions, have me try something in ChatGPT. Feel free to play along. There is a free version of ChatGPT out there. There's if you want to go into Copilot or into Word and use Copilot, any of the software programs that you have access to, you can do that. Just as a mention, ChatGPT, like I said, it does have a free version, but you will have to sign up for it. You're going to have to give it your email and such. I don't get a lot of crappy emails from it or anything like that. So it's not like you're going to go on any lists or anything. It's pretty decent that way. So highly recommend if you have not downloaded it or not downloaded it, I should say, signed up for it, sign up for it. You can, oh, I don't have it in here, but you can sign up on your phone as well. So there's an app. You can use that, and that works really well. And they also, they link together. And so if I'm out and about, like my electricity story, I was doing that on my phone, and then when I came home, the that chat is actually on my computer as well. So it crosses, saves cross. So let's take a quick look at what we put in or what we would put in. I'm gonna move my, let's see here. Let's see, how do I want to do this? If I move this over here, whoops. Can you see my ChatGPT screen now? Did it move
Yes.
over okay?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, perfect. All right. Like I said, we're gonna play. And before I do that, I'm just gonna check. I'm gonna put the chat over here just to make sure there's nothing, anybody had any questions on, burning questions before I move on. Of course, take pictures of prototype breadboards. Have you tried Quincy? Yeah, I have. I was part of that. I'm part of I'm on the board of directors. And so that was a very exciting ad over this last year. So yeah, Quincy's pretty cool. Um, but remember, Quincy is looking inside of the ASQ website at ASQ resources. It's not finding everything else that could be out there in other places. That's just something for you to know, but it does have a lot of great information. I just used it the other day, as a matter of fact. Okay, so I gotta orient myself here. I'm gonna go back to that prompt that I had. Well, let me orient you to the screen first of all. So when you go into ChatGPT, you are logged in under whatever license you have. I don't have the best license, and I don't have the free version. I don't know, I think it's like $30 a month or something like that, paid yearly. So it's not bad. So across or over on the left-hand side in the navigation, sorry, I'm gonna look over to that side when I'm talking to you. So you have the option, you can do a new chat, and a chat is the area where you're going to do your prompting and get your responses. And you can have multiple chats. You'll see here as we look over on the left, I've got lots of them. And so you've got that. I can search inside of my chats to see if I can find something. So if I can't remember where I asked a question, then I can have it search. I've got a library, which is where I can upload documents and pictures and such. There's some different things, different tools, apps inside of here, Codex, Sora, GPTs, language teacher. I won't go through all of these. The language teacher I did use when we went to, just as a side note, when we went to Europe and I wanted to learn French. And so I went into the language teacher and she just talks to you in a great French accent. And I told her, hey, I want to learn some very basic phrases and stuff. And it's a great learning tool. So I use that. But let's continue down. So we've got another new project. Here is where I can put, instead of just individual chats, I can put different chats inside of a project. And so I'll just show you here in my Wired for Excellence project, which was my book project. You can now all of a sudden in the middle of the screen, you can see that's the name of my book. I've got 17 files. These are the chapters and some graphics and different things like that. And then you can see as I scroll through all of the different things, index reviews, epilogues, chapter 14, blah, 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 blah. These are all different individual chats. And they're all kept in one place, nice and tidy and categorized. So you can do projects. This is the Ink Chronicles project. That was my granddaughter's book. That's the name of her book, is the Ink Chronicles. And so she had the original one, and then she decided she wanted to start a second in the series. And then I've got a fiction book that I'm working on. So you can do any projects. If you wanted like projects on meals, projects on quality, projects on, whatever things you want to pull together. And then underneath that, you'll see a huge list of different chats that I have. AI presenting planning. This was where I created this webinar that we're on today. Mini tab bar chart setups. This is a chat that I'm having. Like I told you, I'm teaching a Six Sigma class. It's a new curriculum. It's just been revised for those of you that want to get certified. And there were some quirky things in there. And so I literally would just take a snapshot of the slide, or in some cases, I'll just upload the whole PowerPoint and I'll say, go to slide 14, give me a better way to explain this, or can you check the math on this? And so that's that one. I'm into making lotions and potions, and us older women have to put all sorts of stuff on our faces, right? And the list goes on and on. Roof pitch calculation. Who knew I'd want to know that, right? And so on and on and on. So that's kind of the layout of what ChatGPT, the screen looks like. And then you play in there as you see fit. So let me open up a new chat. And I am going to take from my other screen here that our company is a medical device company. And I'm going to stick it in here. Now notice that it has inside of here where I put background. This is where we gave it a role. This is where we gave it limits. I'm copying that in there, but before I put that in there, I'm going to give it some prompting. Or not before, sorry. In this case, I'm just going to tell it afterwards. No, it's not up. Why am I not getting to the bottom of? It's like my scroll. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. Please disregard words in parentheses. And if I was using ChatGPT's voice, I'm not sure why this is not showing my full screen for me. I might have to.
I think we're seeing it all.
You are, but I am not. So can you see the button at the bottom to actually press enter? I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. So, oh, this is, it showed it now. So do you see down in the bottom where it says ask anything?
Yes.
So when I'm typing in there, it's going to have a different symbol, but while it's thinking, it's got the square. So it's still working. So I can't add anything else in there. And notice that it says, hi, Chris. It knows me. I looked into common receiving practices in med device, blah, 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 and gave a little bit of research summary that it found. And then here's the plain language receiving procedure. I could have asked it, can you give it to me in Word? And I will, so that you can see what it does. And then it will give me a downloadable file. So here's the procedure. It gave a purpose. Make sure that every component you receive from suppliers matches, blah, blah, blah. Who's involved, when this happens, step-by-step instructions. I don't know, any of you um, in a role that you're familiar with receiving practices?
Not currently, but I have been in supplier quality for like 10 years. And yeah,
Okay,
there's a lot
all
of,
right.
yeah.
I'm guessing there's a good chunk of you that have seen something like this. This is just where we buy stuff and we get it and we um, inspect it and then put it away. So it's unloading and initial check, quarantine until inspected, confirm identity, inspect condition and packaging. And notice the tone, very informal, just like I told it to do. I don't have to do that. I could tell it, give me a more professional one. Accept or reject, traceability, feedback,
Mm.
give special cases, got some roles and responsibilities, definition. And so if I looked at this, oh, and 80 is so used to me in my book mode that she gave some key points and brain tips, which is part of what's in my book. And so I have to remind her, hey, I'm not writing my book. You don't have to give those kind of things. So let's just go down here and I'm going to say, and I like to be really polite with my ChatGPT and my AI. I don't know why. I just feel like after the amount of time I've spent with it, that I've got a relationship with it. I don't know if that's weird or not, but I'll always say please. I always say thank you, those kind of things. So thank you. This was good, but could you leave out the brain tips and key points? And what do we want to tell it? And how about a flow chart?
Yeah.
A flow chart that represents what you have for steps. Please also provide this SOP in Word for download and the flow chart in as a PNG file. And it's thinking because it has the square at the bottom. It's analyzing. This, by the way, is ChatGPT 5. It's the newest version that's out there. It's so much better than the earlier versions. Again, I mean, it just keeps evolving. I'm going to show you in the learning language how wonderful the voice is. Hopefully you'll be able to hear. Depending on your bandwidth and different things like that and how complex what you're asking your AI to give you, it may take a few seconds or even a minute or two. Okay, so here we can download the SOP, we can download the flow chart. I'll show them to you in a second. And then sometimes what it'll do is it'll come back and ask me, would you like me to create a one-page checklist? Tick boxes. Sure. So we're going to do that. And while that's working, I'm going to just open up this SOP is going to download. You can see it over here. Hopefully this is going to come onto this screen. If not, I'll move it over. There we go. And there you have it. I can tell it, make the headings bolded in green. I can really change anything that I want. Let's go look at that flow chart. Sometimes the graphics have gotten much better. Sometimes they are not amazing. When you tell it a ping file, that means it's transparent. And so if you do that, you have to sometimes give it a little bit of extra um, instruction. Like I tried just for giggles to see what it was going to give me. I tried it before we jumped onto the webinar, and it gave me a completely different flow chart. And so what I would do is, like in this one, you can't even see the arrows. So, oh, I wanted to do this. This button over here is use voice mode. And or I can actually dictate what I want to say. And I've used both of them. Like I said, the voice mode is great for the language learning, but just so that you can hear it. Let's see here. Can you hear me? Eighty?
Yep.
No, I'm talking to 80. 80, can you hear me?
Oh,
I think it must be because it's in the speakers. It's not going to hear me. Oh, let's see here.
No worries. I'm definitely hearing you just fine. And the checklist is all set to go. If you need any more tweaks or if you'd like that Excel version, just let me know.
Yeah, could you do me a favor? Would you do the flow chart over the one version that you gave me? I can't see the arrows, so maybe instead of doing the ping, just do it on a white background with black, with white boxes, black um, uh, outlines, and then black arrows as well. Sometimes she has to think. And I think it has more to do with the bandwidth because I'm on the webinar. She's normally very fast.
Absolutely, Chris. I can redo that flowchart with a white background and black outlines so everything's nice and visible. Give me just a moment and I'll have that updated version ready for you.
Awesome, thanks. So I close the voice down. And here's the checklist. Let's take a look at that. There you go. Can you guys see that okay?
yeah.
Yep.
That's actually really impressive, actually. I
Pretty
mean, it
cool.
just does it that fast.
I'm telling you, and it's nothing that I couldn't do myself or you couldn't do, but man, so quick. Let's go back over to here, and I
I mean, it
asked her.
gives you a good document to start with, and then you can just kind of tweak it from there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, my chat ended, but I don't see. Let's see here. I don't see the new flowchart. And I hope you're picking up from my this little bit of a live demo, but it really is very conversational that I have with 80. It's like, hey, where'd that go? Oh, there you go. And then I mean, she'll ask questions like this. Do you want it on standard paper? Blah, blah, blah. So let's see what she came up with flowchart this time. That's better.
Mm.
Not perfect. But every time that I have something that she creates for me, I can just ask her, no, I don't like that. Can you do something else? Okay, let's go to the chat here for a second. How AI can help to the manual labor tasks that does not include machines and computers. Well, that one right now is a little bit of a tough one. I robots are right down the road, and robots will have AI in them, and we will be able to teach our robots how to do different things. We already are starting to do that, but right now, individual tasks, like if I wanted it to be able to solder, well, no, that's a bad example because we do have actual co-pilots. Or cobots, I should say co-pilots, cobots that actually are doing those. They're not quite AI driven at this point, but there's some cool things there. There's you know, in the same realm as AI is gosh, I lost my word here, where you can get a projection of something that comes down on your work. So let's say I'm assembling something. The projection will come down based on something you've uploaded, of course, and I can very easily assemble that, and I know I have all the pieces. So there's that for the manual stuff, but it's not quite there. I've had coworkers take pictures of prototype breadboards and Copilot generated a circuit diagram for them. Yeah. Um, it's amazing, amazing. Anybody have anything? This is where I know we're doing okay for time. I know we're getting to the end there. Is there anything anybody would like me to um, live demo a prompt for?
Yeah, if anybody's got anything, because schedule wise, you're just now starting into our Q&A and sharing portion of the program.
And I don't know if you've put everybody on mute, but I know we have a lot of people, but maybe just throw
Yeah.
it in the chat box.
I was curious, Chris, how like companies are using this. Like, I mean, the strong background in Six Sigma that you have. Are you able to utilize this in doing like, different Six Sigma projects and
Yeah. So I do a lot with Lean and Six Sigma. One of the
yeah,
really cool features that I use a lot is I still do a manual value stream map. Because I think that there's power in the process of doing that. So I will do the manual process map current state, and then I
yeah,
upload it, and I'll ask AD to analyze it and offer suggestions for improvements for future state. And she'll offer some suggestions. I will tell her, okay, this one I like, that one I don't like, or whatever reasons. And then I'll ask her to create the future state map for me. And then from there, I say, okay, that's our future state. Now give me a checklist of items or projects that I need to work on. And I mean, the sky's the limit. You could just keep going. I'll do oftentimes now, I mean, we have Minitab for Six Sigma and other software programs, but sometimes I'll just do a DOE right in ChatGPT. Um, I want to know um, which brand of popcorn is, how am I going to make the best popcorn out there? I have a different brand. Here's my variables,
mhm,
brand and oil, or brand, popcorn brand, oil, pan, blah, blah, blah. And it does the DOE for me.
really,
Yeah,
wow,
it's so cool.
so scary.
It is, and people there's some ethical considerations, and there's just a cautionary slide I'll jump back to when we're ready. You do have to be careful from an ethical standpoint. Well, I talked about writing books and citations and all of those things, but you also have to check accuracy to make sure that it's going to be okay. But I will have people come up and it's like, I don't think, like for instance, should kids get to use AI in writing reports in high school? And all of us could probably have a really good debate on this, by the way. But I come from the era when I was young. I remember very specifically a time when we were not allowed to use calculators. Calculators were kind of new. And so my teachers up until a certain grade were like, no, that's cheating. You can't use calculators. You have to hand
Mhm.
calculate all of this out. Well, we did. But at some point, and anybody here that's younger, that's not even the thing. You use calculators from the very beginning of school because it's a tool. That's all it is. And so I'm of the mind that in that particular question, I don't mind somebody using the tool of AI to help them write, because some people just really are not good at it and they shouldn't get a bad grade because it's not their specialty. But what they do need to make sure is that they're using it properly. They're not cheating. It's not writing their whole thing, and put some guidelines around it and such. So yeah, it can be scary, but it really is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
When you speak to her, 80, are you speaking into an external speaker like Alexa or through my computer? My computer. I have in front of me, I could use the one that's on my computer, but I actually have a microphone that sits on my desk because I do a lot of webinars and such. But yeah, you just use your computer and talk to her, and she talks back. Do you want to hear her talk French? It's pretty cool. Just for giggles. Here's my language teacher. And you can choose whatever you want. I'm choosing French. And then I can use my voice mode over down at the bottom here. Bonjour.
Bonjour, ravi de te rencontrer. Dis-moi simplement si tu es débutant, intermédiaire ou avancé, et on commencera à pratiquer ensemble.
That was too fast for me. I'm a beginner. Can you slow down and do very basic phrases for me?
Bien sûr, je vais parler plus doucement. Comme tu es débutant, voici quelques sujets simples en anglais pour commencer. My day, my family and friends, food and drink, hobbies and leisure, ou at the market. Choisis simplement un de ces thèmes. WW English, of course I'll speak more slowly. Since you're a beginner, here are some simple topics in English to start with.
And we'll stop. But I mean, listen to the accent. Crazy. All right. What do we have here? To whom it may concern, please submit. Oh, your attendance. Yes. That you don't want that in AI, do you? Although we could. There was an outboard motor company in the late 1970s that sorted their parts and built a motor where every part in that motor was at exactly nominal dimensions. The motor produced more than its rated horsepower. Could we get more detail on that experiment? Sure. I'm going to copy right out of the chat. I'm going to come over here to just the window that I had open. Highly recommend that you keep your topics in your individual chats separate, because you will forget that you talked about these 5 things in one chat. But I'm gonna break that rule. I'm just gonna come back into our receiving procedure. See, mine's set. It's got to have credible citation. So search for information about the outboard motor experiment, but I couldn't find credible documentation. What I did find, check the histories of major outboard motor manufacturers, couldn't locate any technical, some sources. The idea is technically plausible under some conditions. I'll let you kind of read through it. So it's talking about some of what probably was in it, what we could do. So it's giving me a suggestion on how we could reproduce it. And that's all it had. I'm not familiar with that outboard motor experiment though, so I can't help you with it. But I'm guessing, and there's error in there, but if 80 can't find it, the story must have changed enough over the years that we would have to give her more details on it for her to find it. Oh, can AI create a list of puns about quality? Yeah. I'm just going to steal the last part there. Create a list of puns about quality. Isolation. We don't want to work in isolation. Quality is a team project. These are really good. Feel free to copy them off of your screen. Audit you not? Kaizen, you feel the love, defective humor, control freak, just a little bit of a control freak chart. Those are kind of fun. Any others? I can tell me a joke.
I mean, can it do like all your like run charts or like an X bar R chart? Like, can it you give it data and it can produce all that stuff for
Yes,
you?
it
I
can.
mean, it.
Yep.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, I'm just
I
going
guess
to
I.
switch to, let me just look at my mini tab bar chart setup that I've been playing with. And what I was having it do, like I said, is I verify some of what was in the new curriculum. But I would go in there and I would show it some of
Wow.
mini tab outputs, and then I would
Mm-hmm.
say, okay, give me some information on it or verify. Back up on the top here, I would have it recalculate. I know I'm flipping through, doing some hypothesis testing. Um, I've got confidence intervals up here. Um, it, yeah, it'll show me the math so that I can see very specifically. There was one instance where the slide was showing like 1.56 was the answer, and it was giving me 1.58. And so I said, I need you to go back and give me ideas of where in the math did they round that was giving the wrong answer. And it did a great job. It found the one variable, which was a standard deviation that it had rounded off.
So does this get questioned in the validation process if companies are using this as using it for like quality decisions? Specifically, I know like in the medical device industry, like you have to have qualified, like if you're using something like semi like this to make quality decisions, you're putting in numerical data and then it's spitting out an a result, and you're making decisions off that to accept or reject like product. Like
So
where is that, like how does that fit in the, I mean, tying that into the ASQ here in the quality realm, is there a conflict of interest like with this AI
no,
industry?
it's very much the same as it used to be for Excel. So there was a time that you probably don't know about, weren't around for, but there was a time that Excel, we had to
Yeah.
verify the calculations. And every so often they do an upgrade. And so all of your ISO standards, whether it's 13485 for med device or aerospace or
Mhm.
automotive, there is a clause in there with a requirement that says you must validate your
Right.
your software. And so you just have to do that, just like you
Okay.
do anything else. We just quit doing it for Excel and other things because we make the assumption it's right. And
Right.
like I said, I found Excel errors, not like 20 years ago, like 5 years ago when there was an update, there was a calculation error in it. So you have to be careful with all of it, but
Mm-hmm.
you should not be letting it make decisions for you. You should be letting it do things fast and efficient for you so that you can make decisions. And so, like in calculations and such, I might ask it to do it 3 different times
Mm-hmm.
just to verify, or I'll put it in one of the other AI programs just to have some validation there. Um, and then I'm good with making a decision. I feel pretty good about that. Well, I'm not seeing any other requests. I don't know how many people have dropped off. I know we've gone a little ways longer than what we intended, but I'm happy to stay a few more minutes. Other than that salad or whatever was being eaten there it really is, my stomach's growling now. Um, I hope you all got something out of this, a little nugget. I hope if you have not tried any of this, that you take the leap, go play, and really just play. You cannot hurt anything in here. It doesn't go anywhere. Be wary um, uh, of your company policies. You can set these things up so that they will not feed out to anywhere. Like mine are set up so that whatever I have inside of my chats do not go anywhere else. And you can do that as well. So again, don't, just because of that, don't share personal private information. Put that right in your settings. We already talked about don't take AI's word for it. Check, because they will lie to you. They don't lie, they just try to be helpful. And then, make sure that you get comfortable with it so that you feel comfortable with trying new things, is I guess my parting words to you all.
Yeah, thank you, Chris.
You are welcome.
Okay, if no one else has any more questions for Chris, then we'll proceed with the section business. And again, thank you, Chris, for your enlightening presentation.
Oh, you are welcome. Thank you again for inviting me anytime. I love doing this stuff. I love sharing, giving back. I had so many mentors over my lifetime. So I will go ahead and jump off and allow you to do your business. Have a wonderful night. Have a wonderful upcoming weekend.
Yeah,
Good night.
likewise. Thank you.
Okay, take care.
Yeah.
All right. We will